The night over Cyralia was calm, but only in appearance. The alien coalition had retreated to orbit, regrouping for a final decisive strike. Their confidence was high. They believed the humans were a curiosity, an obstacle to crush with sheer firepower. They did not understand what it meant to face a Deathworlder. Commander Darius Kale surveyed the horizon from the main human base in the city. Fires burned across the ruined streets, but civilians were safe, and human patrols moved like shadows, prepared for the coming storm. "They're coming back," said Lieutenant Mira Solon, checking her weapon systems. "And this time they'll throw everything at us." Kyle nodded. "Let them. We thrive where others fail. Remember, survival is not given, it is taken." Above the planet, the alien fleet shifted into formation. Massive warships bristled with weapons capable of obliterating entire cities. Commander Thalcor's multi-lensed eyes scanned the battlefield. "This time we will crush them. No human tricks will save this planet. Flatten the cities. Leave no one alive." The aliens did not know that the humans had anticipated this move. Sensors planted across the city detected every incoming ship. Energy shields were positioned at strategic points. And traps, both technological and environmental, were ready to turn the battlefield into a nightmare. On the ground, the Lorani were ready to fight alongside the humans. For the first time, their fear had been replaced with determination. The humans had taught them to adapt, to survive, to fight with strategy rather than hope alone. Ilaren helped a small group of Lorani set up barricades. "I never thought I could do this," she said. "But I am not afraid," Vareth nodded. "Neither are we. The humans have shown us that courage is learned, not born." Kale walked among them, observing quietly. "Good, learn quickly. The next hours will test everyone. Do not falter. Adapt or die." The first wave of alien attack came at dawn. Ships plunged through the planet's atmosphere, firing massive energy beams. The humans responded immediately. Using Cyralia's ruined terrain, they split the aliens into smaller groups, hitting them from unexpected angles. Mira Solon led a squad to the eastern ridge. She deployed energy mines that detonated as alien troops advanced. The explosions threw debris into the air, disorienting the invaders. Another squad, led by Kale himself, moved through the ruins, disabling alien weapons and capturing command terminals. The Lorani watched in amazement as humans moved like predators. Every strike was precise, every maneuver calculated. The aliens had no chance against tactics they could not predict. One human soldier, carrying 2 Lorani children, sprinted across a plaza while enemy fire rained down. Another team flipped overturned vehicles to create cover, while simultaneously firing on alien units advancing through side streets. Ilaren whispered, "They are unstoppable, but they do not kill for pleasure. They fight to protect." Kale's voice carried across the comms. "Remember, civilians first. Defense second. Attack third. Survival is not chaos, it is order." Commander Thalcor was furious. "Why do they fight like this?" "They do not fear us. They are unnatural," a lieutenant responded nervously. "Sir, their strategy is unlike any in the galaxy. They adapt to terrain, anticipate moves. They fight as one organism," Thalcor hissed. "Impossible. We will destroy them with overwhelming firepower. Begin orbital bombardment." But the humans were ready. Mines and disruptors scattered across the city caused the alien weapons to misfire. Entire squadrons were disabled before they could hit the ground. Human snipers perched in ruins and trees picked off officers and specialized troops. The Lorani joined where they could. With guidance, they used simple weapons to block corridors, set traps, and assist in evacuating civilians. Under the humans' leadership, they were no longer helpless, they were participants in their own survival. Hours passed. The alien fleet began to falter. Their morale shattered as wave after wave of attacks were turned back. Ships that once seemed invincible were destroyed or grounded. Alien troops, used to overwhelming numbers, were unprepared for opponents who anticipated every move. Kale addressed his squad. "Remember this, the galaxy underestimates humans. We survive because we refuse to yield. And we protect those who cannot defend themselves. Fight smart. Fight together. Fight to win." Mira Solon nodded. "And remind them that Deathworlders do not forgive mistakes." The turning point came when Kale led a bold strike into the heart of the alien command base on Cyralia. With only a handful of humans, they infiltrated the control tower, hacking systems and turning alien defenses against them. Energy shields collapsed, Communications jammed and alien officers were captured or neutralized. Ilarin and Vareth watched from a safe distance as the humans executed the attack. They are teaching us more than survival, Ilarin said, voice trembling. They are teaching us strength, courage. Honor, Vareth nodded. We begged for help. We received warriors, but we also received something greater. Guidance to survive and stand. Back on the battlefield, the aliens attempted a final push. Massive dropships hurled troops into the streets, and warships fired relentlessly from orbit. But the humans had anticipated this. The Lurani barricades funneled enemies into narrow streets lined with automated turrets. Energy mines detonated with precision. Human squads moved like shadows, cutting off every advance. Even alien ground vehicles, faster and stronger than anything on Sirelia, were disabled by clever traps and guerrilla tactics. The invaders were falling apart, unable to respond to an enemy that fought unpredictably and with unmatched skill. At the peak of the battle, Kale and Mira led a final charge. Humans and Lurani together moved down the central avenue, a coordinated force striking at the alien core. Energy blasts tore through alien armor. Alien soldiers fell one by one and ships above were grounded or destroyed. Thalcor realized his defeat was inevitable. Retreat! Retreat now! He hissed, fury and disbelief mixing in his voice. The remaining alien forces fled, leaving Sirelia in ruins but free from occupation. The Lurani had survived against impossible odds, not by chance but by the guidance, skill, and courage of the Deathworlders. After the battle, silence fell over Sirelia. Fires smoldered and dust settled over shattered buildings. The Lurani emerged cautiously, fear replaced by awe. Children ran to touch the humans who had saved them. Adults knelt in gratitude. Kyle addressed the Lurani Council. Your world is safe. Not because we are gods, not because luck favors you. You are alive because you adapted, because you learned, because you survived. Do not forget that, Mira added. We do not state a rule. That is not our way. We leave, but we leave you with the tools, knowledge, and courage to protect yourselves. Ellerin stepped forward, tears in her eyes. We begged for aid, and we received more than we could imagine. You did not just save us. You changed us. We understand courage now. We understand survival. We understand humanity. Kale's expression softened faintly. Remember this. The galaxy underestimates you at its peril. You are stronger than you think. Now prove it. Days later, the Deathworlders departed quietly. Their ships rose into orbit, engines glowing faintly in the pale sunlight. The Lurani watched, awestruck, as the humans vanished into the stars as quickly as they had appeared. Vareth turned to Ilarin. We asked for help. We did not know what help meant. Ellerin nodded. We did now. It is not just survival. It is strength, courage, and honor. And it is ours to keep. Across the galaxy, whispers began. Stories of the Deathworlders spread. Tales of humans who thrived where nothing else could, who fought like storms given form, and who could change the outcome of any battle. The Lurani would rebuild Sirelia, stronger and wiser, knowing they had been touched by a force unlike any other. Humanity had shown them the true meaning of survival. And somewhere, far away on a distant Deathworld, Kale and his team prepared for the next call, knowing that the galaxy would continue to underestimate humans. And that was exactly how it should be. For the Lurani, for Sirelia, and for the galaxy. A new legend had begun. Humans from the Deathworlds answered the call, not with mercy, but with unstoppable strength and honor. The first light of dawn barely touched the jagged peaks of the Deathworld. Mist rolled through the valleys, curling around rocks and cliffs like fingers. From high above, the alien fleet hovered, scanning the land below. Every instrument and sensor hummed with data, yet none could fully explain the readings. Something was there, intelligent, organized, and aware, but invisible. On the cliffs, humans moved silently. They were called Deathworlders for a reason. Their entire civilization had been shaped by survival in this hostile environment. Every human here had been trained to observe, adapt, and act with precision. Years of navigating storms, cliffs, and predators had made them faster, stronger, and more intelligent than outsiders could imagine. Scanning drones are returning with errors, said Zarek, pacing in his ship. His confidence from the previous day had waned. What is happening? These readings, they don't make sense. A young officer shook his head. Captain, the signals, they are organized. There's intelligence, but it is hidden. Hidden? Zarek repeated, feeling a chill. He had conquered countless systems, faced thousands of civilizations, yet he had never felt uncertainty like this. How can intelligence hide? Far below, the Deathworlders watched the aliens carefully. They did not panic. They did not attack. Instead, they studied, learned, and planned. Each small movement of the alien fleet, each adjustment of landing crafts was noted, analyzed, and used to prepare. The humans were not reckless. They understood the value of patience. They had survived storms that could wipe out entire valleys, predators that could crush bones in a single bite. And now they faced outsiders from the sky. The aliens believed themselves superior, but the planet itself was on the human side. Every gust of wind, every shadow, every sudden shift of terrain worked in their favor. "We need to move closer," said Kale, one of the human leaders, his voice calm over the comm links that connected their teams. "They are not expecting us. Let's observe before we reveal ourselves." Another nodded. "Agreed, let them think the planet is empty. Let them underestimate us." The aliens, unaware of the human strategy, began to move troops closer to the planet's surface. They deployed small landers to scout valleys, expecting no resistance. When the first landers touched the ground, the humans were already in position. A subtle tremor, a barely noticeable shift in wind, disrupted the alien sensors. Drones crashed into cliffsides. Communication lines flickered. The aliens were confused. Their technology, which had worked flawlessly across dozens of systems, faltered on this planet. "What is happening?" Zarek demanded. "Why are our instruments failing?" Kale watched from a ridge. "Now we begin," he whispered. The Deathworlders moved like shadows across the cliffs. No weapon fired, no machine malfunctioned intentionally, yet the aliens felt pressure. Every step the humans took, every movement of the planet caused unease. The aliens had entered a world they could not control. Inside the alien command ship, tension grew. The council members who had once laughed at this primitive system began to fear the unknown. Sensors showed rapid changes in terrain patterns, unexpected heat spikes, and energy fluctuations that could not be explained. "We are not alone," admitted one officer reluctantly. "There is intelligence here, and it is not small." Zarek's hands tightened on the console. He had underestimated countless civilizations before, yet none had prepared for this. "Prepare for landing," he ordered, though even he doubted the wisdom of it. "We need to see them directly." On the cliffs, the humans watched the landers descend. They had spent years studying alien technology from distant signals, learning patterns and weaknesses. Now it was time to reveal themselves. Kale raised his hand. The humans stepped into full view, not to attack, but to demonstrate their presence. The aliens froze. There were dozens, each standing tall and strong, their eyes alert and intelligent. They were not the weak primitives the aliens had imagined. "What? Are they?" whispered a junior officer. "They are humans," said Zarek, disbelief in his voice. "From this planet?" "Yes," Kyle replied calmly, speaking through a translator device. "We have lived here for generations. We know this world better than anyone. You are visitors. You are not welcome." The aliens expected fear, confusion, or submission. They got none. The humans stood firm, unafraid of ships that had conquered entire star systems. Their presence alone was a statement. They were strong, intelligent, and prepared. The first contact was cautious. The humans made no aggressive moves. They did not fire, they did not rush the aliens. Instead, they demonstrated control over the planet itself. Lightning seemed to strike with precision. Winds shifted around them and dust clouds rose in patterns that masked their positions. The aliens realized the humans had trained with the environment as a weapon, even without direct combat. Zarek felt unease growing into fear. "How can they control this?" he asked. "It's the planet. No one can do this." Kale smiled faintly. "We do not control the planet. We survive with it. Every storm, every cliff, every predator has taught us to adapt. We anticipate, we endure, we respond. You are not prepared for what survival shapes." The humans then demonstrated more than survival. They demonstrated intelligence and coordination. Small teams signaled each other silently, moving in perfect synchronization. They adjusted the environment, clearing paths, masking movements, and setting up observation points. The aliens' attempts to land safely were continuously disrupted, not with weapons but with strategy. The alien officers began to panic. Their advanced technology, which had brought entire civilizations to heel, was failing against humans who seemed ordinary. Yet ordinary they were not. Every movement suggested calculation, foresight, and adaptability beyond what the aliens had ever faced. "Captain," one officer said, voice trembling, "they are anticipating our every move. Every landing attempt, every drone we send, they predict it." "How is this possible?" "They are humans," Zarek said, but the explanation brought no comfort. He had faced humans before, scattered across colonies. Some were clever, some were adaptable. But these humans were a force shaped by a death world. Survival had made them more than clever. It had made them unstoppable in their environment. Kyle observed silently, allowing the aliens to comprehend the magnitude of their mistake. No pride, no anger, just quiet strength. Humans had endured far worse than alien fleets. They had survived storms that could crush mountains, predators that could devour entire teams, and now, outsiders from the sky. As the sun rose higher, the humans revealed more of their presence. They moved in ways that forced the aliens to reconsider every assumption. Drones returned, damaged or missing, not from weapons, but from terrain manipulation. Sensors went offline or recorded false readings. The aliens realized that even without firing a shot, the humans had turned the planet itself into a shield, a trap, and a tool, all at once. The first direct communication occurred. Kale spoke calmly through the translator. "We do not attack. We do not conquer. But we protect what is ours. You are visitors. Leave and you will not be harmed. Stay, and you will see what survival has taught us." Zarek felt the weight of the words. In all his years, no civilization had spoken to him with such quiet authority. Not kings, not generals, not conquered populations. Never had anyone stood so firmly without fear, without aggression, yet radiating power. The aliens began to withdraw. They attempted to maintain composure, but the retreat was hesitant. Every step they took was watched, analyzed, and understood by humans who had never failed to survive the impossible. As the fleet ascended, Zarek's mind raced. The Council's confidence, their assumptions, their arrogance, they had all been shattered. What had seemed like a simple mission had become a lesson in humility. Kale and his team remained on the cliffs, watching silently as the alien fleet departed. They had not fought. They had not fired a weapon. Yet they had demonstrated a truth. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and that mistake would not be forgotten. Storms rolled over the peaks again, winds carrying the message far beyond the planet. The Deathworlders had revealed themselves, not with violence but with presence, intelligence, and unwavering strength. For the aliens, the calm before the storm was over. The galaxy had changed, and humans were no longer the unknown. They were a force, quiet but undeniable, and the universe would soon take notice. The alien fleet drifted slowly away from the jagged peaks of the Death World. Tension filled the command ship, an unfamiliar sensation for creatures used to domination and control. Every officer aboard felt the weight of uncertainty. Their scans had failed, their instruments had betrayed them, and worst of all, their assumptions about superiority had been shattered. Captain Zarek paced the bridge. He had sent fleets into dozens of systems before, subduing civilizations without resistance. But these humans, these Deathworlders, were different. Not because they wielded weapons, but because they understood life, survival, and strategy in ways the aliens could not fathom. "They did not attack," Zarek said, voice heavy with disbelief. They simply exist, and yet we could not succeed." "Captain," an officer replied, "they have demonstrated intelligence beyond our expectations. They are superior in ways we cannot match." Zarek fell silent. That single word, superior, echoed in his mind. The aliens had ruled through power, technology, and fear. Now they faced a species that commanded respect through strength, patience, and understanding. On the cliffs of the Death World, Kale watched the departing fleet. The humans had not pursued the aliens. There was no triumph in their eyes, no celebration. They had simply protected their home and demonstrated their capabilities. Kale turned to his team. "They will report what they saw, and when they do, the galaxy will take notice. We have shown them what humans can endure, and what we can accomplish without violence. Let that be our message," the team nodded. Every human here knew that survival was not about aggression. It was about resilience, intelligence, and preparation. The aliens would remember, and so would others. Back in the alien council chambers, panic and uncertainty replaced confidence. Elder Varnus stared at the star maps, replaying every sensor reading, every observation, every failure. They were humans? He asked aloud, struggling to accept the truth. All our intelligence, all our technology, and they outmatched us without even firing a shot. Yes, Lyra replied, her voice trembling with awe. They used the planet itself. They anticipated every move. We underestimated them. The Council realized they had misjudged humans just as many civilizations before had. For centuries, the aliens had assumed that domination was the only measure of strength. Now they understood that intelligence, adaptability, and survival could surpass technology and power. In the days that followed, word of the Deathworlders began to spread. Other systems reported strange readings from the edge of the galaxy. Ships that had once traveled confidently now approached with caution. Across distant star systems, the story of the humans who survived the Deathworld and bested a superior fleet without violence became legend. Humans on the planet continued their routines. They trained in the mountains, navigated the deserts, and studied the stars. The planet had shaped them, honed them, and prepared them for a universe that underestimated them at every turn. They were not conquerors. They were protectors, guardians of a world that had forged them into something extraordinary. Zarek, still aboard the alien command ship, made his report to the Council. His words were careful, precise, yet tinged with caution. They did not attack, he explained. They simply exist, yet we could not succeed. Their intelligence, their adaptability, it surpasses anything we have encountered. We must reconsider our approach to humans. The Council debated in silence. For the first time, they recognized that humans were a species unlike any other. They were not violent conquerors nor naive primitives. They were survivors. They were problem solvers. They were unstoppable when underestimated. Elder Varnus finally spoke. We must leave them be. Any attempt to dominate them will fail. We cannot rely on power alone. Respect. Respect is what they command. Back on the Deathworld, Kale and his team discussed the future. They knew that the galaxy would test them, that curiosity and fear would bring other species to their planet. But they were ready. They had survived storms that could destroy cities, predators that could decimate armies, and now alien fleets that had assumed superiority. They had learned patience, observation, and restraint. We will not strike first, Kyle said. We do not need to. The galaxy will see who we are. Strength is in survival, intelligence, and patience, not in conquest. The team nodded, understanding that the universe would soon change its view of humanity. Weeks later, the aliens reported back to their own worlds. Their fleets were more cautious, their leaders more hesitant. No longer would they assume control without understanding. Humans had earned respect, not through firepower, but through resilience, intelligence, and presence. The galaxy was learning slowly that humans were a species that could not be underestimated. Meanwhile, humans on the Deathworld continued to thrive. They explored new regions of their planet, trained the next generation, and studied the stars. Every action they took reinforced their strength, quiet, intelligent, and enduring. They were prepared for the day the galaxy would come knocking again. And when that day arrived, humanity would stand firm, not as conquerors, but as a force to be respected. The alien fleets that had once laughed at the Deathworld never returned in full force. Reports of humans spread across star systems. A species that had survived impossible conditions, that could anticipate and outmaneuver even the most advanced technology, and that respected life rather than destroying it. The galaxy was beginning to change. Humans were no longer unknown, no longer underestimated. Their presence would shape diplomacy, exploration, and strategy across countless star systems. Other civilizations began to consider humanity carefully, knowing that any attempt at aggression would not result in easy victory, but perhaps in a lesson learned without bloodshed. Kyle stood on a cliff, looking at the distant stars. The humans of the Deathworld had survived, learned, and grown stronger. They had not fought with weapons, but with intelligence, patience, and understanding of life itself. That was the greatest strength of all. The galaxy knows we exist now, Kale said softly, and when they see us again, they will remember this moment. Humanity does not need to conquer. Survival and intelligence are enough. A wind swept across the cliffs, carrying the scent of storms and distant lands. The humans stood tall, ready for the universe's next challenge. And somewhere, far across the galaxy, Alien leaders reconsidered their strategies, humbled and cautious. The universe had learned something new. Humans were not to be underestimated. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget them.